Hi everybody, how you doing? It's Anne Margaret with Raise the Vibration, and well, this is so much closer than I thought it was going to be. I just thought I'd invite you in for a little fireside chat for the moment to answer any questions that you guys might have about the channeling, and if you have anything specific that you want to type in the comments, please feel free. I'm going to do this just for about maybe 15 minutes or so because I'm getting a lot of emails and messages around this, and I just want to make sure that you have all those questions answered. So I always like put my Facebook. Does this happen to anybody else that you put your Facebook live way too close because it like zooms in the second you do your live? So anyway, one day I'll learn. So, but those of you who have been reaching out to me about the channeling, this is something that has been such a blessing in our lives, in Anthony and my life. He is working right now. I have to do this one alone without him, but we've had a tremendous experience with this over the last 5 years. Oh, thanks, Pamela. I love you. Thank you for affirming that it looks okay. I'm fireside chatting. But it's been an incredible experience for us, especially since last March, offering private sessions and doing some group channeling. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm going to start with just some really common questions that I do get and try to best answer this, you guys. This is really weird for me too. Like, I am a huge skeptic. All of my friends and my students through the last 20 years know that I don't shy away from my skeptic. And so, of course, I'm faced with the most challenging, irreconcilable phenomenon happening in our lives. And so I'm still wrapping my brain around it too. So forgive me for not having all of the answers, but I'll give you anything that I can offer. And hopefully I won't burn up. This feels really good right now because it's a little chilly outside, but I might need to move if it gets too toasty. It throws off a lot of heat. Or maybe I'm just nervous. So, some of the questions I get is what to expect in a channeling session. So, with this group session that we're doing tomorrow, we did the first public one in January, and it was a beautiful experience with 40 individuals coming together. And the biggest feedback we got from that was even if people weren't read directly, that everyone got an immense amount of benefit from it. So they got insight into their own lives, into insight into the death experience, how to more easily pierce the veil to the spirit world themselves, and then also just a new understanding also of this life and what it really is for, what we're doing here. And those have been the most miraculous insights that have come through for us too. It's been so incredible to listen to what's being said in every one of my private sessions, or even my group sessions. It's like I sit just to my right. It's like I'm sitting right here and my eyes are closed and what's being said is being said, and I can just listen to it. I'm completely conscious the entire time. And this phenomenon, I never really related to it. I mean, it is quite unusual the way it's developed in the last year, but I've always just connected to God and spoken directly to God, and I feel like we really, all of us, have that capability. So when this started becoming physical through physical motions and movements about 5 years ago, of course, I was like, what is this? I can control it, so it's not like a seizure. One of my dear friends is like, don't go to a doctor because they'll tell you it's a seizure and it's not. So it's really unusual. But when it started speaking through my lips, I obviously was very, I don't even, just stumped by the entire experience, and it didn't feel bad. It felt just the most beautiful experience ever. And the most beautiful loving energy. And when I'm channeling for somebody, and as a medium, as their loved one comes through, or loved ones, usually there's way more than one, there are a lot of very similar messages that are brought through, One is that they never leave our sides when they go. They have the choice to stay with us after they pass or move on. And those of you who have felt the presence of your loved ones after death, I really do believe, after what I've experienced through this channeling, that that's what you're feeling, that's what you're sensing. And it's when I have somebody come through, and it's almost like their energy pours through me. So they might be like a really outspoken, very vivacious energy. And I feel that kind of move into my energy, even though I feel like I'm literally sitting to the side and allowing spirit to speak. I feel this rush of energy as well in my physical body. And uh, usually there's an immense amount of love that nearly brings me to tears every time, because it's so incredible how much we love each other, and how much when we leave this physical realm, that love never dies. That love is eternal. That love, from what I can glean of everything that I have experienced with this channeling, that love, it just, it's eternal. It's immortal. It lives on, um, way after we're here. And so it's a beautiful experience. I get to really feel the love that this spirit has for the human I'm channeling for, and get to communicate that to them. Sometimes it's a specific message, but most of the time they just are there to answer any questions that you might have. You can be specific, like, what should I do with this, or what's your advice with that? Because so oftentimes when we lose people out of our physical realm, we miss talking to them, we miss hugging them, we miss connecting with them and getting their advice and sharing with them about our day. And anyway, it's a beautiful experience. There's so much more to say about that, but that's where I'll leave that. So if you have questions and you want to connect with somebody, you want to just dip your toe into it, you're not ready to do like a full dedicated private session yet, just come to the group's channeling session tomorrow if you want. It's only like 10 or 20 bucks for donation if you want to just jump in there. Uh, and not everybody gets read. I mean, we do read a lot of people, and go through as many people as possible. But it's something good to observe too if you're a little nervous and you don't really want to ask any questions yet. Uh, Oh, Pamela has a question. Okay, when we think of a loved one that has passed, are they immediately present? Uh, so, yeah, thanks for correcting. I got you, girl. Uh, what I understand, Pamela, is that they're not immediately present. That there's a delay for a few days, typically. Usually even less maybe than that, that there's a moment where there is a rediscovery of themselves in spirit form. I'm still figuring that out too. I haven't channeled that much around information around that. Surprisingly, I know we have access to this, but also we have our regular lives too, so we don't always get to ask. So that's why I love my dear friends like Pamela and others who ask these questions, and Anthony always has great questions too. So my understanding is that they're not immediately present. They are seeing everything, but they're not quite uh, embodying their spirit body. They're not quite fully acclimated. I guess that's the best word, into that form. So they're able to see everything, but they're just starting to come into a new expression of their spirit. So there is a little bit of a delay from what I understand. And but it's the coolest thing. If you have questions for your loved ones, bring them tomorrow and write them down, because sometimes when you get in front of this energy that's coming through, sometimes all the questions, that's why I have my private sessions too. I have them record it so that they can listen back to it, and then also come with at least like 5 or 10 questions that they've got, because it's easy when you're in the presence of that frequency, which is just incredible, to just go blank, just to forget what's going on or what your concerns were, because the love that is experienced, and this is something that I've received as feedback over and over and over again, that the experience of the energy felt by the person being read is so overwhelming that many times they just start crying out of a release, and they can forget their questions. So bring your questions, write them down. So in addition to doing the mediumship with people who have passed, another thing that I think is so cool and really has transformed Anthony and I is finding out about spirit guides and about, I mean, I've always kind of believed in angels and felt like I was getting help, but I didn't, like I said, my skeptic has always been very strong. So I felt very alone because I have never, I at times didn't call on those energies to help. And because we were created with free will, um, they can't intercede unless we ask them to, which is cool and upsetting at the same time because we just kind of want them to help us out or protect us or do things like this or show us or guide us, but we really truly have free will. We're moving through this game of life on our own and in a separate body with a separate mind, a separate reality, and need to call on this, need to actively call on that. So what I think is so cool is that in channeling, we figured out, or what was channeled was that we all are assigned a guide right at birth, like some energy. I don't know how that happens specifically yet. We're going to channel more about that as we go, but that there is one specific lifelong discarnate guide. So this is not somebody who has died and passed over. This is usually um, somebody who is just always in spirit form. This is not an animal. Those are different, but this is a lifelong guide. And one day as we were driving through Pennsylvania, I think we were on one of our road trips, Anthony, I think, had the idea, most likely it was Anthony, to say, well, maybe these spirits have names. Maybe we should be asking what their names are because they don't want to just be like, hey, you. It's more personal when we're able to connect with something, or if it has a name. That's how we get domesticated in this realm. So it's been really fascinating to channel the names for people because I don't just hear the name. Like, I'm not that savvy yet in my channeling abilities. I go through the alphabet and we spell it out, and it's a very quick process, but it's fascinating because you see the name unfold letter by letter, and then as it finishes, it's that's complete, that's the name. And sometimes the names are very recognizable, like they're like, for us being Americans, is very Americanized name perhaps, although not just American. I mean, it crosses over to Germanic and all these other names, but it's also some names that are not recognizable necessarily, some that are more Native American in probably origin, or some have been even inversion, or not, what is it, not inversion, it's I can't remember what it's called, but it's when you mix up the letters, when you take a word like um, love and you make evolve out of it, even though there's an extra e, right? The switching up of the lettering, sometimes it'll do that with specific words. So I never know what's going to come out until it finishes because I am too busy focusing on keeping the channel clear. But that's a really cool thing too, is finding out what the name of your main spirit guide. Now, are there others? Yes, there's so many others. Apparently, some people have more than others. I'm not sure why, but you can find out how many you've got around you. And then some other questions that come up too. Hey guys, thanks for joining. I'm seeing more of you jump on here. Some other questions too are, anagram. Thank you, Kate. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you, anagram. Oh, Kate comes through. Thank you, girl. It's so cool because it's like it has the same energy of that word, but yet it's mixed up, which is cool. Unless it's inverted, then there's something off about it, right? Like the live versus evil. Like, we don't want the inversion of it. But anagram, that's the word I was looking for. And something else, like when the channeling, like for the channeling, like some people come in with specific questions. They might be yes or no. Those are really easy for me as a channel. But if there are other ones, I just kind of step out of the way and allow spirit to speak. And this can be a question around your health, something specific about. I know I just had one of my friends text me and say, I'm thinking of doing this project. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I would love some guidance. And then it can just come through and speak uh, this and that, and this is the direction that you should go in. Many times it will throw the question back to you to use your intuition if it feels like you haven't fully utilized that wisdom yet, because one of the main messages that constantly comes through is that this is speaking through me to help reconnect you with your direct connection to source, and then also your intuition to, that you have these answers available to you. And if you answer something, so it might throw it back to you and say, well, what do you think? What's your intuition say? And if you're off, it'll tell you very point blank that no, that's not actually the case. Go in this direction instead. So even though your intuition may be off, you're not left high and dry. It's very helpful, and it will guide you in the right direction. But if you got a question about your health or somebody else, or what you should or shouldn't do if you're feeling a little bit in the dark, bring those kind of questions too. They're really, really helpful. Um, Wondering if I'm forgetting. I'm sure there's tons I'm forgetting. But usually we try and read as many people as possible in the group, just to help people connect more directly with their questions. Oh, I'm forgetting this too. This is such a cool, oh my gosh, since I started doing this, even though I've participated in past life regression and reflected on that kind of possibility, I have only my experience, so I can't prove that they exist or they don't exist. Since I've been channeling, it feels more and more like this is something that is really insightful. And although so many aspects to those esoteric parts of our existence we can't explain or prove, my philosophy has always been, look, if it's helping you understand more about yourself or your relationship, or guiding you in a direction that you feel like you're more on your purpose path, helping you forgive or come back to your heart, I'm all for it. None of us can prove any of this. I mean, we only have our experience, and those things can't be proven with the five senses. So they might feel like absolute truth for us, but until the other person has that experience, it's simply a faith-based projection of truth. And I think that's what's so magnificent about our life. It's so incredible that we just don't have all the answers and we're just moving through it the best we can. So one of the coolest aspects to the channeling too is revealing past life connections. This is something in the private sessions where we can go really deeply into understanding, because I've been a coach also for almost 20 years and done group coaching for 18. I'm very well steeped in assisting people in finding resolution in their personal and their professional relationships. So when the past life connections come up, I'll work with the channeling as a complement to the coaching. I do this a lot in my coaching sessions, where I'll get the insight around the past life connection or what the guidance is, or get affirmation of what I'm intuiting as a coach. And then we'll see that, in this life, it might be mother-daughter, and another life, it was the reverse. Or if in this life, it was siblings, in a past life, maybe it was business partners. And there's a reason why the discordance exists. And through understanding what the past life was around this, and like I said, this is all speculation, obviously, although the healing that has come from this is just phenomenal. If you understand what the past life connection was, it's so much more accessible. The forgiveness is so much more accessible. The unconditional love and acceptance is so much more unconditional when we understand why people perhaps relate to us in ways that in this life they don't make sense to our logic and reasoning. We don't understand why. And this gives great insight. I just had a private the other day where in 1 hour there were immense healings just from past life connections. So you figure out, what the relationship was, when in time it was, and where. Like maybe you're drawn, like this beautiful couple I channeled for both of them. I didn't know that they met in Thailand, but their past life connection was in Thailand. Just a lot of really cool things with this that come forward, and then they said, "Oh my gosh, that's actually where we ran into each other." One of these sessions that three different past life connections came through for this woman I just channeled for in Eastern Europe. She had a lot of healing in the relate. She had not a lot, like immediate healing and compassion in a relationship with her mother that for 50 or almost 50 years probably she's struggled with that relationship, but just out of understanding the connection had immense insight and was able to almost find not humor as in at someone else's expense, but just marvel in how we come and we play out different roles for each other in this life. So it was fascinating. I mean, I feel so blessed and privileged that I just kind of get to sit and observe all of this and participate in it when I need to bring in some coaching with it. It's incredible. So anyway, feel free to join us. It's tomorrow. It's only $10 or a $20 donation. You can go to our website, raisethevibration.com, on the events page to register. It's just a Zoom link that you receive through email to join us. And it is just an extraordinary experience. Like I said, whether you've got a question and you want that answered yourself, or you just listen in with the group. So I hope you'll join us. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow in America, but this is earlier on in the day. That, thank goodness, was a happenstantial blessing because I didn't plan that. But we're doing it tomorrow. It's 9 or 11 a.m. It is 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'm in Colorado. That's 10 a.m. That's 12 p.m. my time. So 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And if you are a little too shy to do the group thing and you'd rather just do one-on-one sessions, I'm now doing that as well over Zoom, and we can dive a lot deeper with those sessions too, so that's fun. So just email me or connect with me through the website for that. And thanks for tuning in as I answered some of these questions in my little fireside chat. All right, you all be well and have a beautiful rest of your weekend. And thanks for joining me. All right. Keep raising the vibration, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.